My cousin slept with my toxic roommate. I'm just a spectator in this whole train wreck. But since my friends don't believe me when I say it's real, I figured I'd write it all out. So quick backstory. I, 26F, live with a roommate, Lexi, 24F. When I first met her, she seemed fun, quirky, a little chaotic, but in a haha, I lost my keys again way. Over time, though, I realized quirky was just code for unstable. She drinks too much, overshares to strangers, starts drama, just to watch it unfold, and is one of those people who'll accidentally air your secrets to get attention. I've been trying to keep the peace, because rent's cheap, and I can mostly keep my distance. But things went nuclear when my cousin Caleb, 28M, came to visit. Caleb is, well, he's attractive in that rugged, doesn't try too hard way. He's also been through a messy breakup, so he was crashing with me for a week to clear his head. The first night he arrived, Lexi made a huge deal about him. Like full-on performing, laughing at his jokes a little too loud, accidentally brushing up against him when she walked by. I warned him, quietly, that she's complicated. He just shrugged. I'm not looking for anything. Don't worry. Famous last words. On the third night, I went to bed early after a long day at work. Around midnight, I woke up to loud whispers and soft giggles from the living room. I didn't think much of it until the next morning when I found Lexi making pancakes, which she never does, looking like the cat who caught the canary. Caleb looked guilty. I didn't ask. But later, Caleb pulled me aside. Yeah, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. We hooked up last night. It just happened. I was too stunned to even respond properly. Caleb is a grown man. He can make his own choices. But Lexi, she has a pattern. She latches onto people like a barnacle and then goes off the rails if they don't give her what she wants. I warned him again, but he insisted it was just a one-time thing. Except it wasn't. Over the next few days, I watched this bizarre little fling unfold right under my nose. They were sneaking around like teenagers, whispering in her room late at night. Caleb swore it wasn't serious, but Lexi? She started acting possessive. Like, if he was in the kitchen making coffee, she'd follow him around, touching his arm and glaring at me like I was competition. Caleb left at the end of the week, thanking me for letting him stay. Lexi sulked for a few days, then acted like nothing happened. I thought, okay, that's over. But nope. 2 weeks later, Lexi tells me she's going out with friends for the weekend. Guess who shows up in her Instagram stories? Caleb. They were out drinking at some rooftop bar in his city. He didn't even tell me he was seeing her again. When I texted him, he admitted they'd been keeping in touch, and it just kind of happened again. I wanted to scream. Caleb is family, I love him, but he's a chronic avoider when it comes to confrontation. And Lexi, she thrives on drama. I could see the storm brewing. Fast forward another month. Lexi starts blasting sad breakup playlists at full volume. She's crying in the bathroom, slamming doors, mumbling about how people are liars. I ask what's wrong, and she just says, don't even talk to me about him. He's trash. A few days later, Caleb calls me, saying Lexi showed up uninvited at his apartment in the middle of the night, drunk and crying. He says it was a wake-up call. He told her it was over for good, but Lexi didn't take it well. She started leaving sticky notes on the fridge with little digs like loyalty is dead, smiley face, and some people can't keep it in their pants. When she realized I wasn't reacting, she escalated, inviting random guys over just to make me uncomfortable, leaving Caleb's hoodie on the couch like a trophy. At this point, I've stopped talking to Caleb about her entirely. It's his mess. I'm just collateral damage. But the real kicker? Lexi claims she has something important to tell him. She hasn't said what, but based on how dramatic she's been acting lately, I have a sinking feeling I know where this is headed. And that's where things are right now. I'm just here, stuck in the middle, watching it unfold like some low-budget soap opera. Caleb has no idea Lexi might be plotting something. I'm debating whether to warn him again, or just let the fallout happen. Part of me hopes it just fizzles out, but knowing Lexi, it won't. Update 1. So, remember how I said I had a sinking feeling Lexi was about to stir the pot? Yeah, she didn't just stir it. She picked it up and hurled it across the room. It started one random Tuesday night. I was making dinner when Lexi came home looking weirdly calm, like not her usual dramatic self. She sat at the counter, watched me chop vegetables, and said in this eerily casual tone, "I need to tell you something. I'm pregnant." I literally froze mid-chop. "Pregnant?" I repeated, because surely I misheard. She nodded. "Yeah. And before you even ask, it's Caleb's." My brain short-circuited. I couldn't even form a sentence at first. "Are you sure?" was all I managed. Lexi rolled her eyes. "I'm not an idiot. I haven't been with anyone else. It's his. I already told him." Apparently, she'd called Caleb earlier that day and dropped the news like it was no big deal. According to her, he freaked out and said he needed time to think. She was smug about it, like she'd won some twisted game. I immediately called Caleb. He answered, sounding like he hadn't slept in days. "Is she telling the truth?" I asked. "She took a test," he muttered. "She sent me a picture. I don't know what to do." I felt this mix of anger and helplessness. Caleb is family, but he walked right into this. And Lexi? She was glowing, like she was proud of herself for trapping him in her chaos. The next few days were a whirlwind. Lexi started acting like a diva. She'd lounge on the couch, complaining about pregnancy fatigue, and demand I pick up her slack with chores. She blasted baby name playlists, left prenatal vitamin bottles on the counter, and told anyone who would listen about how she was going to be such a cute mom. Meanwhile, Caleb was spiraling. He called me constantly, asking if she was really serious about keeping it. She was. She told him flat out she wasn't getting an abortion, and he better step up. Things escalated fast. Lexi started talking about moving into Caleb's place, because it would make more sense for the baby. She even brought home a folder of apartment listings, like she was already planning their little family life. Caleb, of course, was panicking. He kept saying he didn't want a relationship with her, but didn't want to be a deadbeat dad either. And in the middle of it all, me, stuck with a hormonal, manipulative roommate making my life hell, and a cousin who made the world's dumbest choice. But it got worse. Lexi decided to post a cryptic Instagram story with a photo of a positive pregnancy test and the caption, "Sometimes the universe gives you exactly what you're meant to have. #blessed #baby on board." Cue everyone in our friend group, blowing up my phone asking if it was Caleb's. Even our family started texting me. My aunt called me in a panic thinking Caleb had secretly been dating Lexi. Caleb was furious. He called Lexi and begged her to take the post down. She refused. She told him, "People deserve to know the truth." And now it's out there. Everyone knows. My parents know. Our extended family knows. Even people from my work somehow found out, because Lexi told one of my co-workers at a bar. Caleb is trying to schedule a paternity test once she's further along, but Lexi insists there's no question. She's been nesting like crazy, buying baby clothes, talking about baby showers, acting like this is some fairy tale romance instead of the mess it actually is. I'm just exhausted. My apartment feels like a pressure cooker. Caleb's texting me nonstop, venting about how trapped he feels. Lexi is making passive-aggressive comments about how I probably think she's lying, but she's going to prove everyone wrong. And the pregnancy is only a few weeks in. If this is how bad it is now, I can't imagine what the next few months are going to look like. Update 2. It's been about 2 months since the big pregnancy reveal, and my apartment has turned into a war zone. I don't even know where to start. Lexi is different. At first, she was basking in the attention. Now, she's using the pregnancy like a weapon. Anytime someone challenges her, she pulls the "you're stressing out a pregnant woman" card. She's stopped working completely, claiming she's too tired to deal with her job, which means she's been home constantly, lounging in my living room watching reality shows and eating takeout. On Caleb's dime. Yep, she has him sending her money now. He feels guilty and doesn't want her struggling while carrying his child. She brags about it, too, like it's some badge of honor. And Caleb? He's a wreck. He's been trying to be responsible, but Lexi is making it impossible. She calls him 20 times a day, sometimes at 3 a.m., crying about how she's scared to raise the baby alone. Then other times she swings the opposite direction, ranting about how he's not doing enough, threatening to put him on child support, and take him for everything if he doesn't step up more. Last week, she even showed up at his apartment unannounced again. She brought a bag of baby clothes and told him she was just nesting. Caleb told me later he felt cornered, like she was trying to force herself into his life. When he asked her to leave, she sobbed so loudly that his neighbors called to check if everything was okay. Meanwhile, back at my place, Lexi has gone full tyrant mode. She's completely taken over the apartment with baby stuff. Random Amazon boxes everywhere, pregnancy books piled on the coffee table, even a crib half-assembled in the corner of the living room. When I told her she can't just turn our shared space into a nursery, she glared at me and said, "You need to start accepting this. Whether you like it or not, this is happening." She's also started telling everyone in her orbit and mine that she and Caleb are figuring things out and planning a future. Total lies. Caleb has made it clear he's not getting back with her. But Lexi is rewriting the narrative to make it sound like he's the bad guy if he doesn't play along. And the manipulation is unreal. She'll text Caleb saying things like, "The baby moved today. Too bad you'll never know what that feels like." Or, "Hope you're enjoying your freedom while I'm here sacrificing everything." She even sent him ultrasound pictures with captions like, "Look what you made, Red Heart." The worst part, Caleb is starting to question if she's even telling the full truth. He asked her for a second ultrasound appointment so he could come along, and she suddenly got defensive, claiming she didn't want him there because it's too stressful. He told me he's wondering if she might have been seeing someone else before him. But it's too late. He can't prove anything right now. And the family drama, oh, it's nuclear. My aunt, Caleb's mom, is furious. She's convinced Lexi trapped him. She actually called me crying, begging me to convince him to fight for his freedom before it's too late. Meanwhile, Lexi has already told her own family, who now see Caleb as this irresponsible guy who won't man up. So now, every time Caleb visits to talk things through, I'm stuck in the middle of their screaming matches. Lexi will yell things like, "You don't even care about your own child," while Caleb tries to calmly explain that he wants to co-parent, not play house with her. She storms off crying, then comes back 5 minutes later demanding money for prenatal vitamins. It's constant whiplash. But here's the really unhinged part. Lexi has started a baby registry, like a full-on online registry with strollers, high-end diaper bags, and a ridiculous $900 bassinet. She's been sending the link to everyone she knows, expecting gifts. She even tried to get me to share it with my coworkers. I told her absolutely not, and she gave me this icy smile and said, "You'll change your mind when you see the baby." She says things like that all the time now. Creepy little comments, implying that once the baby's here, everyone will have to accept her choices. I'm starting to feel genuinely trapped in my own home. Caleb is talking to a lawyer now, trying to figure out his rights before the baby is born. He's also planning a paternity test the moment it's legally possible, because even he's starting to suspect Lexi might not be telling the whole truth. And Lexi, she's acting like she's already won. She told me last night, with this satisfied little smirk, "In a few months, your cousin won't have a choice. He'll be tied to me forever." I honestly don't know how much worse this can get, but I'm sure it will. Final update. It's over. Well, as over as it can ever be. The last few weeks have been absolute chaos. Lexi made it to her 3rd trimester, and her behavior got even more erratic. She was alternating between crying about how alone she felt and screaming at Caleb for not moving her into his apartment. She even started hinting that she'd give the baby his last name, despite him saying over and over that they were not a couple. Then came the day that blew everything wide open. It was a Saturday morning. I was asleep when Caleb showed up at my door looking pale and shaken. He shoved his phone at me. On the screen was a screenshot. Lexi had accidentally sent him a string of texts meant for someone else. They were intimate, way too intimate for someone who was supposedly celibate after Caleb. She was telling some guy named Evan how she couldn't wait to move in with him. After, this baby drama calmed down. She even joked about how she was milking Caleb for everything. I thought Caleb was going to explode. He confronted her immediately. She tried to play it off at first, said Evan was just a friend, that the texts were taken out of context. But Caleb wasn't having it. He told her point blank that he was getting a paternity test the second the baby was born. No discussion. Lexi lost it. She started screaming about how he was insulting her as a mother, throwing things around the living room, and threatening to cut him off completely if he dared to doubt her. I had to physically step between them because I thought she might actually hit him. After that fight, Caleb went quiet. He stopped answering most of her calls. He still sent money for essentials, but he told her he was done being manipulated. Lexi retaliated by making these cryptic posts on social media about deadbeat dads and fake family who don't care about her or the baby. Fast forward a few weeks. Lexi went into labor early. She didn't even tell Caleb. She just texted me in the middle of the night, going to the hospital. Don't tell him yet. I ignored her and called him immediately. He rushed over, but by the time he got there, Lexi had already delivered. And then the bomb dropped. The baby didn't look anything like Caleb. Now, obviously babies change a lot, but even the nurses gave each other that awkward look. Caleb is dark-haired with strong features. Lexi is blonde, but this baby? Full head of red hair, pale freckles. Caleb just stared at her, then at Lexi, and I could see the realization hit him. He didn't say a word. He quietly arranged for a paternity test right then and there before signing anything. 2 weeks later, the results came back. 0% chance Caleb is the father. I have never seen someone implode the way Lexi did when he showed her the paper. She tried to deny it at first, claimed the test was wrong, that they must have mixed it up. When that didn't work, she turned on me, accusing me of sabotaging her family. Then, in a last-ditch effort, she called Caleb crying and said, "Even if the baby isn't yours, can't we still try? We have a connection." Caleb hung up. After that, Lexi's facade completely cracked. She confessed that Evan, the guy from the texts, was the actual father. Apparently, she and Evan were seeing each other casually around the same time she hooked up with Caleb. But Evan wanted nothing to do with the baby. So Lexi decided Caleb was the safer bet because he's stable, responsible, and would never abandon a child. She literally tried to trap my cousin with someone else's kid. The fallout was nuclear. Caleb cut off all contact, except through a lawyer. He's not on the birth certificate. So legally, he's in the clear. My entire family found out the truth, and now they all hate Lexi with a passion. As for Lexi, she spiraled. She stopped paying her half of the rent, claiming she couldn't afford it, with a newborn. When I told her she had to figure something out or move, she screamed that I was heartless and kicking a single mother out on the street. I gave her a month's notice anyway. She finally moved out last week, taking the baby and most of her stuff to stay with some distant relative. I don't know what's going to happen to her now, and honestly, I don't care. My apartment feels quiet for the first time in months. No more slammed doors, no more screaming matches, no more passive-aggressive sticky notes on the fridge. Caleb is slowly picking himself up. He's embarrassed, but at least he's free. Looking back, it feels like I've been living inside a bad soap opera for half a year. All because Lexi couldn't handle her own mess and dragged everyone else down with her. I've learned one thing for sure. Never underestimate how far an unstable person will go to keep someone tied to them. And I am never having a roommate again.